Good afternoon, good morning. Hey, this is Gail. I'm teaching for a Veterans Yoga Project. It's the Gentle Yoga for Back Care. Always keep it between the easy and ouch. Bird dog. I see somebody put a request in. They want bird dog. Yes, that's oppositional reach. I love that because that really targets the multifidi muscle. That's the deepest held layer muscle in our back that if it goes to fat, if it turns to fat, it will recruit other muscles around our backside of our body to take its place. And when that happens, back pain happens. So we're going to work that one today, whether we're seated in the chair or on our hands and knees today. So let me stand up, move out of the way. Of course, I use a chair because I have spicy back challenges. It helps me get down to the floor. It helps me get up off the floor. Again, let me move it out of the way here. Make sure it's not in the camera. It's not in the camera. All right, so my chair's over here. Again, keep everything between the easy and ouch. We're going to start with constructive rest posture, which means we lie on our back, knees bent. Now, you maybe want to scoot over to the couch if you're a seated person and do this because it's really yummy for the back, or just sit nice and firm in your chair away from the back of the chair. I'm going to squeeze my behind, hands on the chair, step a foot back, come down to my knee. And I've got a kind of a sketchy knee here, so I always like to have that blanket around when we're on hands and knees. I'm going to transition onto my back. So hands on the floor, kind of tip over a little bit. Very good. And I'm looking to see where I am in the, I'm kind of tilted a little bit today, but it's still in the view. And I've got my block. I've got my strap close by. You don't have the gear today, that's okay. Do the class without the gear. Get the recording. Find something around the house, like maybe a tie or a dog leash or a long towel, maybe a thick book. But you know what? Getting a yoga block and a strap, that's going to be your favorite pieces of gear to do this class and Friday's class, the chair yoga for fall prevention. So again, constructive rest posture. If you're not already there, on your back, seated in the chair comfortably, woo, or maybe on that couch. I got to move my ponytail out of the way. All right. So for me, this feels kind of sketchy because I've got scoliosis, rotoscoliosis, disc degeneration, bulging discs, retrolisthesis. I got lots of stuff. Spondylosis. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take my hand, grab a hand, and then roll a shoulder up and away. Ooh, that already makes it feel better. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. Okay, that feels a little bit more comfortable. But again, sometimes this is not comfortable. I'm going to walk my feet towards my behind, raise my behind up with my hands or with my own muscular strength, and then roll my spine down to make it feel a little bit more comfortable. Then I'll take my hands back behind my head and then lift the back of the head and kind of tuck my chin in towards my chest. And again, that just kind of elongates the spine. Now, if you've got lots of curves going on with that upper shoulder, neck, head, you might want to take your yoga blanket and place it underneath the shoulders and the back of the head to make this more comfortable. Just know that's a nice add-on to make things more comfy. From here, I invite you to place your hands here below your belly button, and then the other hand kind of on top of that, and then elbows out to the side. So your hands are kind of spread out a little bit. And let's breathe in and let the belly expand out like a balloon. And as you exhale, contract the belly button towards the spine. You might feel a low belly contraction between those hip bones when you exhale. So let's do that. So let's breathe in, belly big. The chest also expands, by the way. And then exhale, contract everything towards the yoga mat, the back of the chair. Again, breathe in, belly big. And exhaling. Again, breathe in, belly big. And exhale. First, we're going to do what's called the notice posture. We're right now in constructive rest pose, but we're going to shift into notice posture. Let's extend one leg all the way down. Ooh, there's my blankie. And then the other. Sometimes this is like super, super tight for the tops of the fronts of the legs, the quadriceps and those hip flexors, and you may feel kind of grabby here to begin with. This may not feel pleasant at all. You're seated on the chair, you extend the legs, and you're resting on the back of the heels, toes softly towards you, not like firm towards you, but softly towards you if you're seated on the chair. Wiggle those legs a little bit, and then just notice what you notice. So for me, I'm noticing the right behind grabbing me, and not much of the back of the legs are on the yoga mat, and I feel kind of tight in the hip bone, the inguinal crease area of my body. And then left shoulder is more into the floor than the right. Again, that's because of my issues, right? Now slowly contract the belly button towards the spine, slide a foot back onto the yoga mat, and then the other. And again, we're in constructive rest posture. One of the things you can do here, stay here 5 to 10 minutes, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to add some movement to it. Always, always keep it between the easy and ouch today. So I'm going to grab my yoga strap. And then, you know what? I'm going to take one leg and place a strap along the bottom of the foot, kind of the halfway point. And then if you're seated, you're resting the back of the heel, legs, straight out from you. And then you kind of make the straps kind of even here, or hands back behind the thighs. You don't have a strap today. Okay, from here, invite your leg as best you can. Flex your heel, toes towards you if you're seated on the chair. If you're here lying on your back, you're inviting it as comfortable as you can towards your body. Maybe there's a little micro bend in the back of the knee. All right, now what I'm trying to notice here is my foot kind of turning out to the side, or is it aligned up with my shin, my knee, and my thigh? And then what we're going to do is called big toe hold. We're grabbing our yoga strap and we're pulling the strap towards us, and then we're going to bend our knee and push the foot away. So we're trying to invite dynamic contraction going on here to facilitate bone building. So when we contract the big muscle groups in the body, like our hamstring, our quadricep, our calf muscles, that's going to stimulate bone growth. But you've got to hold the position about 30 seconds. It's significant for easing back pain also. You may notice your low back firm into the floor. You won't notice it here seated on the chair though. So the chair versions of these postures are going to sit, a little different than lying on the back. Again, if you've got a couch and you can go over and do this on the couch because you don't like to get down to the floor, that's a nice alternative way to do the same posture. We're still pulling and pushing here. Woo! And it might feel a little spicy, yeah? Bend the knee a little bit, might feel more spicy. When you have spice in a yoga posture, think about returning your attention to the breath. Listen to the breath going in through the nostril tip and then out through the nostrils. Then we're going to take the other foot, because it's not doing anything. We're going to tap, tap, tap the other foot. And then open it up out to the side. Do what you can seated on the chair, okay? You can kind of heel toe the leg out a little bit for a counterbalance, because this leg that's up in the air, we're going to drop that leg out to the side. We're still trying to align the top of the foot with the shin, the knee. We don't want the foot to flare out or in, just nice and aligned. And again, pull, push into that yoga strap. This is called big toe hold. It's one of the 12 yoga postures for building bones, so it's significant. But you have to enjoy or endure, let me say, a muscular contraction to get some benefit out of this. Plus, do you notice you're enjoying a nice grip strength here? Well, maybe the word enjoy is not the word for it. Probably not. Got to stay here a couple of more seconds, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, 12 seconds, 72 seconds otherwise. Woo! And sometimes what I do, if it's challenging with the grip strength, I'll bring my hands up the yoga strap and then wrap my wrist to hold the strap. It's a different gripping mechanism. It's still effective. You're going to feel it in those forearms, maybe the elbows, maybe the shoulders, depending how vigorous you're holding this contraction. And then squeeze the belly button towards the spine. Bring everything back to the center. Take that yoga strap off. Foot comes back on down. Clap your hands. And then rub some circulation back into the palms, back into the fingers. Maybe tap the feet while you're here. Tap, tap, tap. Little calf pumps, which is beneficial for lowering blood glucose, returning blood supply from the lower extremities back to the heart supply, or back to the heart. All right, now we're going to switch sides. Take the strap into the other bottom of the foot, the other leg, Maybe it's the same one. I don't know. And then you're going to notice, resting on the back of the heel, if you're here seated, maybe you scooch more towards the edge of the chair because it makes it feel kind of funny on the behind otherwise. And then again, you're going to notice, how far towards you or far away does this feel? Does this side feel any different than the other? Maybe more spicy, maybe the same, maybe you didn't notice. That's also an option, okay? And then let's engage into the posture. But again, you're trying to see foot's aligned with the top of the ankle, the shin, the knee. It's all nice, kind of a straight line. Maybe spicy in the side booty, maybe. And then pull and then push into that yoga strap. Make it vigorous as best you can. Again, keep it between the easy and the ouch. Ooh. And again, if you want to right now, slide the hands up the strap, wrap the wrists around to hold the yoga strap or your dog leash or your tie or your long towel. Woo! My toes tend to spread out on this. I don't know. There's something stimulating the ligaments to where that pinky toe spreads out more than the rest of the toes, and the big toe spreads away from the other 4 toes. It's just a weird kind of thing. You might have that going on too. Again, you can always have that little micro bend in the knee, but you're going to feel it a little bit more in different areas when that happens. That's okay. Yeah? Again, if you need to kind of distract yourself because it's kind of spicy, breathe in and out through that nose. Listen to that breath. Here we go. Belly expands as you breathe in and then contracts as you exhale. Or you know what? Just breathe. That works too. Still holding it, not the breath, but the pose. Woo. All right, other foot. Here we go. Tap, tap, tap the other foot. And if you're seated, heel toe the leg a little bit wider for that counterbalance kind of thing. And then let's drop the leg out to the other side. You're moving the leg out to the other side, seated on the chair. Now make sure both back sides of the buns are still on the yoga mat. When that opposite hip starts to roll up or off, you've gone a little too far. So that means, bring it in back towards the center a little bit. It's okay. We're just kind of working different kind of nooks and crannies in that hip joint. Again, pull, push. Woo. Feel the grip business going on, the forearms, the elbows, maybe the armpits, maybe the shoulders, maybe the upper back muscles, especially if you're seated doing this posture and you're really giving it a good try here. Oh my. I'm feeling my shins starting to kind of quiver here. Feel that lactic acid kind of building up a bit. Stay here, stay here, stay here if you can. If you can't stay here, listen to the breath. And if you need to back off the pose, that's okay. You're doing what you can with what you got today. And again, it's going to be different from one person to the next. And I'm just making sure, is my foot still aligned with the top of my ankle, my shin, my knee? My foot likes to turn out to the side. I figure if mine does, yours does too. And then, woo, release it back to the center. Release the strap. Clap your hands. Tap your feet up and down as you rub your hands. So we're trying to challenge our dementia prevention here by doing more than one thing. Rubbing the hands, tapping those feet up and down, or heels up and down. Probably easier to do heels up and down when you're seated, okay? So do some kind of foot movement here. Very good. Now I want you to invite one knee in towards your chest, maybe the hands back behind the knee or a strap along the bottom of the foot. And then once again, rub those hands and then put a little heat on the knees, okay? So I'm just kind of doing little circular movements. Be nice, be sweet here. Now reverse the circular movements. And then I'm going to tap, tap, tap. That's for lessening knee pain. These are some traditional Chinese medicine techniques, okay? And then I'm going to notice how far that knee is into my hip crease, my torso, my low ribs. Let's take the foot now and just kind of point and flex. Now maybe hands back behind. And you may be noticing like the shin being challenged here, top of the foot. Maybe, maybe not. And then with the leg being still, we're going to invite the foot to turn inward. So previously, I've done this where I'm using the whole bottom leg to turn. I want to try to have my hand on the leg to where it's just my ankle. And that's a challenge for me. It might be for you too. Oof, it wants to get involved, I can tell. And then reverse. This is good for ankle mobility, isolation, for helping you to have a better walking ability. And then release. All right, we're going to do the other one. Invite the other knee in towards the chest. Clap your hands once again. Get some heat here. And let's spread the heat softly onto the knees, the side of the knees, the top of the knees. Again, if you're having some tender stuff going on here, maybe it's a little bit less pressure, okay? Now reverse, other direction. And while we're here, soft little tap, tap, taps. You may just want to do the outside of the knee, or maybe you want to do both, depending if there's some issues going on here today, okay? All right, and again, knee in towards the chest. Notice this side. Is this one more in towards your body? Is it the same? Is it less? So mine's more into my side torso, and this side, that's because of my issues, yeah? And then I'm going to bring my hands back behind my knee pit. We can have knee pit, right? Point and flex the foot. You might want to go a little bit slower just to kind of notice the sensation that's going on with that shin, the top of the ankle, the top of the foot, the bottom of the foot. Notice if there's any challenges there, okay? It's okay. Notice if this feels easier to do versus the first side that we did. For me, it is. And then make everything still. Maybe you have a hand on your leg. We're going to draw the foot inward, so ankle circles inward. Oof. And the top of my foot's making snap, crackle, pop noises. If you ever were in combat boots, steel-toe shoes, high heels, sometimes the feet kind of conform to those shoe types, and when that happens, we don't have like a good walking ability, gait, and that can also cause back pain up the chain of the body, depending on what's going on with your feet. Now let's reverse. Go the other direction. Oof. This one's kind of snappy and poppy this side too. And then release the foot down to the floor. Let's do the notice pose. So extend one leg. And then do the other one. I have to hold my core when I do the other one because it's kind of grabby today. Shake the feet a little bit on the back of the heels, toes towards you if you're seated on the chair. And just notice what you notice. Is there any difference? There might be, even with these few postures that we just did. I love it. Okay. We're going to transition to seating. So what we're going to do is contract the belly button towards the spine, slide a foot back onto the yoga mat, then the other. Now what I do when I come up off the floor, because I've got the SI joint dysfunction, I lift up first, then I turn. Because otherwise, if you roll over in the bed, it's like, ooh, it hurts. That's usually an indication you've got some kind of misalignment of that SI joint. Take the hand that's in front of you, and I'm going to take my top leg and extend it and press into the floor, come up to the forearm. So sometimes when we are laying on the floor and come up to upright, there's some dizzy challenges. I'm going to grab my yoga block and my strap close by because they're always far away when I come up off the ground. And then come up to a seated place. So for me to sit on the floor, it's like, mission impossible. My hips go crazy pain. So I take my yoga blanket. I have folded it into like a long rectangle, and I will fold it a little bit more. So this can be done also seated in the chair for you to have kind of a wedged effect. Some folks really like that. To have the hips higher than the knees is supposed to be something better for back challenges. And then I have that little lip happening here. I'm going to bring it back behind me, and somehow I'm going to sit my behind on that blanket. So I'm going to roll up and come up. So I'm already feeling some kind of challenges in my shin ankle. So I'm going to make sure I have my block close by. I like to have that block to where it's going to support me not having that knee come down, because that's kind of challenging for my stuff that's going on. So we have... what is this? This is, I can't remember what it's called, abduction or adduction, where instead of, straight hips towards the front of the room, we've got a hip the hip bone in the hip socket going out to the side, so that it's kind of going outwards as opposed to going inwards or front or to the back. So it's we have about 6 different movements we do with our hips, which can cause us back pain. Yeah. All right, so we're going to do some seated movements. It's called the 6 essential spinal movements. Again, it's for easing back pain. You're coming away from the back of the chair if you're seated and, engaging your tall postural muscles as best you can. Make it comfortable. First, let's do side lateral flexion. So what we'll do is inhale, circle sweep arms up. We keep one hand up and we bring either a hand here on the chair back behind us or hand on the floor or out to the side. I'm going to bring it close to my hip to begin with. And then inhale, reach. And then belly button nice and tight, reach up and over. Woo! You might feel it from your armpit to your hip bone here, that kind of the QL, the quadris lumboris muscle, maybe the deltoids, latissimus dorsi, not the deltoids, which is some of the back muscles here. And then come back on up and then float it down. We're going to do the other side. So inhale, circle, sweep arms up. And then I sneak the other hand back behind me, or maybe I'll inchworm out on this one. So I'm going to inchworm out, inhale up, and then bring that side body over. Ooh. Now I'm bending the bottom elbow to kind of facilitate this stretch of the side body here. Bring it back on up and down. I think I regretted having that hand out because it's like, ooh, it's kind of spicy. Let's do it again. You know what? I'm going to switch the feet, see if that makes it feel any different. Oh, it does. Okay. Again. Switch it up, make it feel better. If you can't do cross-legged, leg out to the side, sitting on the chair or the couch to do this posture is fine. Again, circle, sweep arms up, sneak a hand back behind you, exhale, reach, reach, reach. If you haven't already, inhale again, reach, exhale, lean that side body over. Ooh. Inhale back on up, exhale, float it down. Shrug the shoulders up, inhale. Dowager's hump prevention, strengthen the upper back musculature. Exhale, release. Shrug them up again. Inhale, up, up, up. Squeeze the armpits into the side body or the armpit area. And then exhale, release. Let's do the other side to finish it off. So inhale, circle, sweep arms up. Other hand stays up as you exhale. And then inhale, reach. Exhale, lean that side body over. Maybe you're doing more. Maybe it feels a little bit more open. Maybe not. Inhale back on up. Exhale, float it down. All right, let's do some alternate shoulder rolls here. Just kind of keep it nice and smooth here. Oof. And then reverse. My reverse always feels kind of clunky. I don't know why, but it just does. But it feels good for those shoulders, shoulder blade area. All right, and shake it out. So we did movements. What did we do? We did side lateral flexion. Now we got to do unsupported twists and then cat-cow. Unsupported twists. So when you're in a back yoga class, or maybe a regular yoga class, they'll say something about like, take your hand over to an opposite leg and then twist. Don't do that because that's called a levered twist. So levered twist means you're taking on this lever and then you're cranking into an area that might cause you more pain, especially if you're coming to this class for back release or lessening chronic pain. That's a thing that maybe you want to avoid, yeah? So we do what's called unsupported twist. We do this letter W with our arms, so we're squeezing the upper back shoulder musculature. I guess that's what it's called, yeah? I was trying to think if there was a better word. And then from the chin down to our belly button, we move as a unit. So this thoracic spine, okay? So we're going to inhale, belly big, squeeze those shoulders. As you contract the belly button towards the spine, turn over towards one side. Again, chin aligned with your chest. Keep squeezing. Always lose that outside shoulder, so re-squeeze. And then inhale, belly big. Squeeze the shoulders back to the center. Woo! And release. Oh my. Some upper back building. So oftentimes, if you have low back pain, and that may not be where your problem is. It may be a reflected pain. It may be up the chain, down the chain. Let's do that again, other side. So go back to that letter W, re-squeeze the upper body musculature. Breathe in. Again, chin aligned with the chest. Let's turn over to the other side. So here we go. Woo, I turned some more. Breathe in, belly big. This is kind of spicy for the hips, by the way. exhale back to the center and release. Okay, so that was a bonus posture. You get 2 for the price of 1. What I mean by that is you're engaging the upper back musculature, you're strengthening that upper back kind of from the bottoms of the shoulder blades up to, the tops of the shoulders, and you're getting that unsupported twist, because we got to twist side to side, because if you're driving, you're twisting, or maybe you're turning the head, depending on what's going on. Yeah. Now, if you need to switch the legs because you've sat here too long, this is the time to do that. Hang on, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do you know what? I just moved that to the tall side. That feels better. Okay. Next is, I don't know. I'm going back. Okay. Next is seated cat-cow. Now, if you want to transition onto hands and knees and do this, we'll also do this on the hands and knees part of the class. You can, or maybe you want to try the seated version. So you're scooching away from the back of the chair, from the back of the couch. Don't get into where you're like slouching into the couch, okay? Be nice and tall. Hands on the tops of the legs or the shins or the knees. That makes sense. And we're trying to line the ears over the shoulders. So in this particular cat-cow, we don't drop the chin towards the chest. We don't bring the chin towards the sky. That's too much excessive cervical curvature. Now, in back yoga, kyphosis, lordosis. So just try to keep everything aligned, okay? So this may be new stuff. It may be old stuff, but I keep repeating it. Y'all keep coming back. So let's do it. We're going to breathe in, belly big. Now I'm hanging on to my shin knees. We're going to start with cat first. And as we exhale, contract the belly button and curve your spine to the back of the room. So there's kind of like the beginning place of a pelvic tilt. Now my eyes are looking forward. We're not dropping that chin, okay? Okay, very good. So from here, stay here, breathe in, belly big. Now this where it gets kind of sketchy right here. You're going to exhale, come back to a tall seated mountain. If you've got spicy hips, you may be noticing this pelvic tilt may not be your best friend. It might be easier when we're doing the hands and knees, okay? We're going to do this again, but this time we're going to do the cow version. We're going to hinge at the hips like a squeaky door where we hinge forward. But first, breathe in, belly big. I'm going to move my block on this one. Exhale, hinge forward. Now, I'm not dropping my chin towards my chest. I'm not raising it up towards the sky. I'm kind of looking at the tops of my eyeballs at y'all. And I'm going to move my toes a little bit because that's kind of squishy on my toes. So it's a hinge. If the belly's more towards the floor than it is towards the back of the room or the top of the room. Let's finish this off by breathing in, belly big. Now I'm going to push away, come back to tall, seated mountain. Very good. Whether it's, standing or seated, mountain's still like a nice tall posture as best you can with what you got. Let's do that cat-cow again, and then we'll transition onto our hands and knees. So breathe in, belly big, curve your spine to the back of the room. Yay, seated cat pose. Now, if you're the passenger in the car, you've been on a long car ride, ooh, seated cat-cow is yummy. And then inhale, belly big. Come back to tall, seated mountain. Again, there might be some spice going on there. Very good. Breathe in, belly big. And then hinge forward. Here we go. Hinge forward. I love it. Now, sometimes there may be some spice going into a posture, coming out of the posture. What you can do is maybe, since we're seated, maybe hand here at the front of the chair or here on the floor. And then you can kind of go a little bit back and forth in those spicy places to kind of like what I would call kind of oil up that area or put some movement into that area. That may or may not be something that you want to try, but maybe, that will help you. And then come back up to tall seated mountain. Now you may stay in the chair seated because we're going to do flowy cat-cow next. So this is a alternate cat-cow position to do when you're on your hands and knees. Now again, I have spicy knee pain, as you may have noticed. I like the yoga blanket on the yoga mat to help me with that particular knee challenge. So I'm just going to open up my yoga blanket or my towel. Towel works too. I'm going to place it here where I think my knees are going to be because I just need a little extra cushion for that right knee. Okay, then I'm going to transition onto my hands and knees. Woo, okay. And from here, we're also going to go into bird dog, which was a requested yoga posture. And you know what? Oh, I can't stand this. I can't stand it when my yoga mat is not straight. Okay, there you go. Because I feel like I'm off center or something like that. Okay, this feels pretty good for my knees today. You can be on curly toes or tops of the feet. I like curly toes because I have toe issues. Who knew? Okay. You're seated tall in the chair. Now, I'm not going to cue you seated in the chair because this is a little different when we do hands and knees version. So I'm going to bring my hands more towards the top of the yoga mat. Spread them out like little starfish, okay? Then you're going to lay down your forearms and maybe make your forearms a little wider. And yes, you got your booty sticking up in the air. That's what it is. And we're going to take our elbow, kind of scooch it a little bit more towards you to where maybe you can lower your behind towards your heels. So I'm kind of on my shin area, not my meniscus area when I shift back a little bit. So flowy cat-cow is a little bit safer on your spine than traditional cat-cow on your hands and knees. What we do is we breathe in and take your nose and travel it up in between your hands. Breathe in. And once your nose gets about here at the wrist level, you're going to contract your belly button nice and hard. Peel your forearms off the yoga mat, shift a little forward, and then curve your spine to the top of the room for the cat. Exhale. Lower your behind towards your heels. Lay down on those forearms. Let's do that again. Inhale, shift it forward. Peel those forearms. Contract that belly button. Exhale, curve your spine to the top of the room. Lower back down. Flowy cat-cow. Inhale, drag it forward. Belly button tight. You still get the extension and flexion in the spine, but you're not super articulating the spine as you would in traditional cat-cow. And again, breathe in, drag it forward. Peel those forearms off the yoga mat. Exhale, curve the spine to the back of the room. And again, inhale, drag it forward. Beautiful. All right, we're going to do a back bend. So those of you seated on the chair, come away from the back of the chair a little bit. And then, you're sitting up nice and tall, and you're going to have your hands grab the back of the chair to where you can do a back bend. Those of us that can get down onto the front side of our body are going to lay down onto the yoga mat and do the version called locust pose. So let's lie down on our front side of the body if it's available, okay? If it's not, you can do a standing or seated on the chair back bend. So we're coming down to lay on our quadriceps, our shins, our knees. Now I have curly toes here. I don't usually point my toes. I just keep the toes curled. Here is a supported back bend. It's called Sphinx pose, to where we're laying on the forearms and we're just kind of looking our eyes forward a little bit. There is a little curvature going on with the neck though. So maybe you can just kind of think about ears aligned with the tops of the shoulders. So if this is okay for you, maybe you can go up to a little bit deeper back bend. So what you would do if you're seated in the chair, you scoot your booty forward a little bit more and walk the hands up the back of the chair. I hope that makes sense. Joseph, you'll have to tell me later, okay? From here, if you're going to do a little bit deeper back bend, you'll come down to your chest and place one hand on your booty or hand out to the side. This might hurt if you have lots of kind of back pain going on from the shoulders down to the behind. And then take the other hand on top of that hand. Now, an alternate place to be with the hands is to grab your yoga strap and grab the strap. Make space in between the hands. From here, I'm looking at the floor. I'm going to contract my belly button towards the spine, squeeze my shoulders, lift my hands away from my behind. That's a version of a back bend. Or tops of the toes come off the floor. Maybe you can raise your chest up. Maybe not. Don't hold the breath. Keep breathing, keep breathing. One more breath. All right, and then release the strap. Bring the hands onto the thighs, hands at the top of the yoga mat. Turn the head over to one side if you're seated. If you're here on your belly, turn your head to the side if it's available. Now, if this is not available because it's an active neck stretch, forehead on top of the hands instead. That's okay. Just know that, all right? What modifications you need to do for what's going on currently with your body is okay. Okay? Okay. I said okay 4 times. Lift up. Turn your head over to look over the other shoulder. Oh my. Notice if you feel stiff one side versus the other, or if your range of motion is not the same. Yeah, you ever had that when you're driving and it's like, ooh, I can't look over that shoulder? Oh yeah, this is one of the postures is kind of get that range of motion back, okay? Or do the chair Tai Chi class, because we've got lots of stuff for softening those neck muscles. Bring it back to the center. Yay. Now we're going to do oppositional reach next. So the quandary is, how do I get off the floor? You have to not think about it. Hands underneath your shoulders. Squeeze your belly button, curl those toes, look at the yoga mat and go, okay, come up, however that means for you. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to show the chair version first, and then I'll get back down to the floor and we'll do the bird dog pose, okay? So again, I like to show the chair version because, you know, we want to be able to do this seated on the chair too. So I'm looking to see if you can see me. Yeah, I think you can. Let me scoot back just a little bit more because my feet are being chopped off. Now I'm at the edge of the chair. Y'all that are on the floor, you know, just be patient, please. We're going to take, well, you can do this too at the same time if you can follow my cueing. You're going to take an arm towards your ear. Now it can be a bent elbow. It can be a straight arm. Then think about your opposite leg. Those of you on the yoga mat, extend your opposite leg and be on the curly toes, pushing your heel to the back of the room. Those of us seated, we're contracting our belly button. We're going to take our hand underneath that opposite leg and lift it up, either with assistance or not. So it depends how strong your hip flexors are, okay? And release. So that is oppositional reach, bird dog. Now I'm going to get back down to the floor because we're going to try to flow with this. And basically what you're going to do is just breathe, reach, bring it back to the center, switch sides. Try to do it without the hand if you can. Test it, and then release. Go at your own pace, okay? So again, let me get down to the floor. This one's so good for strengthening at multifidi. So we're on our hands and knees, and we're taking that hand near your ear and the opposite foot on the floor. And I push my heel to the back of the room to get that calf contraction. Woo! Then let's breathe in, belly soft. And then exhale, lift that leg. Inhale, bring the arm and leg back to the center, back down. And then exhale, extend an arm, extend a foot. Inhale, belly soft. Exhale, arm and leg, go up or extend out. Inhale, bring the arm and leg down. And then all the way back to the center as you exhale. Let's do the other side. Inhale, reach that opposite arm and leg outward. Exhale, belly button tight, arm and leg, lift up, extend opposite directions, bird dog, pointing your bird dog tail. Inhale, lower. Exhale, bring back to the center. Let's do one more each side, or let's finish this and do one more each side. Inhale, reach opposite arm and leg. Exhale, belly button tight, lift them up. Ooh, snap, crackle, pop. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, back to the center. One more each side. Here we go, here we go. Inhale, opposite arm outward. Exhale, belly button tight, lift up, extend out. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, return it back to the center. Last time, last time. Inhale, opposite arm outward. Exhale, arm and leg up. Inhale, arm and leg down. Exhale, back to the center. Beautiful. Do you want to kind of wag the tail of the dog? Sometimes it's a nice release of that low back. Sometimes it's spicy. And just shoulders wiggle side to side if you're seated. We're coming up to standing next. Again, I'm going to use my chair to do that. Nothing pretty about this. I'm just coming up off the floor, okay? Okay, and we're going to do our warrior postures. Now, this can be done seated in the chair or standing behind the chair or just on your yoga mat. Let me move stuff out of the way here. Oh, you know what? We're going to use the block here in a bit when we get back down to the floor. So I use a chair because I'm wiggly and my balance is not that hot because I got some feet challenges going on here. If you're seated, what you're going to do is sit near the edge of your yoga chair. It's now a yoga chair. You step a leg out. We naturally turn to the center, but we're going to turn our torso out over the leg that's in front here. And then we're vigorously pressing into the floor as if we're trying to smooth out a wrinkle. So we're not just having our feet here, okay? We have vigor in our postures. If you're standing, step those feet wide if you haven't already. And I'm going to heel toe some more. It's a good thing I didn't put lotion on my feet today because I'm nice and firm onto my yoga mat. I'm going to lift my heel and turn my foot towards the short end of the yoga mat because we stepped out to this side when we were seated on the chair. Bend the knee, and sometimes I kind of lean out a little bit. I'm trying to have my shoulders aligned with my hips, checking to see, is my foot aligned with my knee? Looks like it. And then, I just wish you to be like firm into the yoga mat with that other foot. I don't care about if it's turned at an angle or what. Other classes, they're going to say different things. Just be firm into the floor. Bend that knee a little bit more if you can. Hands can always stay on the chair or on your hips, that kind of thing. Now, again, just like I was telling the folks seated on the chair, we're vigorous with our feet. So we're engaging our big muscles. So we're pressing down into the floor. And again, there's a wrinkle here. We hate wrinkles. Pressing down and away, opposite ends of the room. So you're kind of engaging that hip musculature. I hope you feel that. Arms out into that W. Remember the squeeze? Keep the squeeze. Extend those arms out to a letter T. Now, you can always hang on with one hand, but keep squeezing as best you can, okay? Are your feet firm into the floor? Yes, no? Okay, all right. I'm looking at the ones that are on camera. I'm going, okay, y'all are doing it. Now, if you want to, you can turn your chin to look over the bent knee side or the leg that you stepped out to, depending on your range of motion, yeah? We're going to move through the posture a little bit. Uh-oh. So we're going to inhale, hands to heart center, straighten the leg if you're standing. Exhale, bend the knee, squeeze the shoulders, arms, letter T. I think looking forward is probably better to do this. And then inhale, bring it back to the center. Feet firm. And then exhale, squeeze those shoulders, arms, letter T. Excellent. Here we go. Let's do it again. Inhale, bring it back to the center. And then belly button tie. Exhale, arms, letter T. Stay here, stay here. So similar to side lateral flexion, reverse warrior is very similar. Hand can be on the chair, hand on the seat of the chair, or here on the top, or hand on the hip. Palm up, reach forward, maybe bend the knee a little bit more, and then scoop the hand into the side. Now mine doesn't go very far on this side because I got that scoliosis twist going on, so it's kind of spicy, but I do the best I can. Hand can also go down the leg, all right? And then the hand that's in the air, float it down, straighten the leg, pivot the foot, walk those feet in, bring your knees back together if you're seated in the chair, and step out to the other side. You may scoot over to the side of the chair to make that happen. Step those feet out, other side, heel toe out. Now again, because I use a chair, I go a little bit further. I got the super long legs. Lift the heel, turn the foot, and then bend the knee towards that short end of the yoga mat. Maybe heel toe out some more. Maybe not. Check your foot knee alignment. Okay, it's doing okay. Shoulders over the hips. We're not leaning out. We're like straight from the shoulders to the hips as best you can, yeah? Again, we hate wrinkles, so we're going to smooth them out. We're going to press down. Okay, we're pressed down. And then press to the opposite ends of the room. You should really feel those hips like grabbing you, having a strong sensation. Back to the squeezy letter W, shoulders. And if they're not squeezy, squeeze them. And then let's extend those arms out into a letter T with squeezy shoulders. Now again, if the hand is on the chair, you're still squeezing, okay? It's okay to hang onto a chair or have maybe lower or, try not to be higher than your shoulders, okay? Then let's move again through this posture. First, breathe in, softly straighten the leg, come back up to upright, depending what your ankle is allowing you to do, okay? And then exhale, squeeze the shoulders back into that letter T. Beautiful, beautiful. Again, inhale, bring it back to the center. So you're kind of releasing the shoulders and then re-squeezing, exhale out to letter T. Bend that knee. Not doing anything really with the legs seated, but you're doing the upper body movement. Feet firm into the floor. Inhale back to the center. Woo, I'm shaking. Exhale, bend the knee, arms out into that letter T. Now, turn your head, maybe look over that bent knee side. Hand on the chair, hand on your hip, palm up, reach a little forward and up into the sky for that reverse warrior or that variation of that side lateral flexion. So you got kind of a crunchy side going on and then kind of opening up of the ribs on the other side. Now you can look where the wall, where the hand is. That makes you dizzy. Look at your elbow pit or look forward, okay? Don't want to engage into dizzy business. Dizzy business. Are your feet firm into the floor? Are you still trying to smooth out the wrinkles? Sometimes we lose it here when we're in this version of the warrior postures. Float the arm down, yay. Straighten that leg, pivot the foot, walk it in. So we were really working the different angles of the hip socket, of the hip going into the hip socket. I don't know if you noticed that, but yeah, kind of spicy, especially if you were really trying to press into the floor and away. I love it. So we're coming back down to the yoga mat, back down to the chair or the couch. We're going to do block bridge. So once you get to the floor, grab your block. Okay, I'm going to move my yoga mat away from the wall here. Very good. Okay, tip on over, find my yoga block. There it is. I love it. Lie down on your back. Hopefully you have a chair that has a back. You're going to place your yoga block at the back and press your low back into the block. It's not going to be as effective in the chair. That's why I'm saying go over to the couch if you can and do this because it's kind of yummy, okay? That's my word for it. Back into constructive rest pose. But you know, before we do this, we're going to do notice pose. Extend a leg, shake it out, extend that other leg. Notice how this feels. You're probably more connected to the surface that's supporting you. Okay? All right, and then invite a foot onto the yoga mat, then the other. Now, either with your own muscular strength, or maybe your hand goes underneath your booty, you're going to take that block and rest it here at the edge of your behind, I guess. You got to make it feel comfortable, though. I always feel crunchy here, so I'm going to walk my shoulders away. And then you can do some of this, too, seated on the chair. Lift a leg off the ground and shake your leg. So again, we're adding some vibrational movement here to kind of get all the different places in our body engaged in this posture, at least from the hips down. Yeah. This is good for pelvic prolapse, the rectum, the bladder, the male, the female places. You're working gravity in a different direction, so I love it. Shake it side to side. It always feels weird to me, but you got to do it, right? And then let's place that foot on down. We're going to do the other side, so lift the other one up. Maybe hold the abdominals to do that, and then shake, shake, shake. This lets us stay in the posture, block bridge, a little bit longer. So this is one of the postures they taught us in my gentle yoga for back care training here several years ago. I had spicy back pain. I was using a walker. I was having to take some pain meds. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm a yoga teacher. I should be able to figure this out. Well, I went and took specific training for back pain. And a lot of these postures we're using today are for lessening chronic pain in the body. You know what? Bring the other leg off the ground if you can and shake them both. You can do this posture also without the block. You can just be on your backside, okay? You can be on the couch without a block, shaking your legs in the air. And then I'm supposed to say, like you don't care. That's some song, I think. Y'all will tell me later on which one it is. I'm not sure what it is. Woo! Shake them, wiggle, wiggle them. All right, we're going to bring one leg down. You may feel that energy, that sensation going on. You may not. And then the other one. Then I'm going to walk my feet towards the block, press into my shoulders, my back of my arms, lift up, bring that block out, and then roll my spine on down to the yoga mat. Feel that. Close to yummy is what I would call this. And then extend. We'll do notice pose again. Extend the leg. Ooh. So I don't feel like tight in those hip flexors anymore. It's like released. It's gone. Other one. My left shoulder and my right shoulder feel a little bit more the same. They're still different, but they feel a little bit more the same. I'm going to wiggle my legs a little bit and wiggle my chest. Woo! Now, this may be where you want to be during our guided rest and relaxation, but again, those of us with back pain, this may not be the best place. Maybe you have the bent knees, but you had the feet apart, and then the knees dropped in. That's a nice place to be. Now, I know Miss Vicki and I, what we'd like to do is we like to take that lightweight chair, turn it sideways or, however we can. Then we kind of cartwheel our legs up into the chair. So this also gives like a traction release of the back. So I place my calves onto the seat of the couch or the chair, and I kind of walk my behind away a little bit and come down to my elbows and to my back. And then what I do, because I don't want the leg flopping down to the ground, I just cross that top leg over the bottom leg. And I have my arms either out into a V or a bend at the elbows, place my hands on my belly. I can either look at the ceiling or kind of soften my gaze or close my eyes or, close them halfway. It just kind of depends. But I invite you to get comfortable. So we're transitioning now into the guided rest and the relaxation portion of the class. And I'm going to come up to the front of the room once I stand up. But, again, get comfortable, whatever that means for you. Let me get my chair from over the other side of the room. You may have to wiggle a shoulder away and then the other. So what I'm going to do is read a short little yoga nidra script. So as you're ready, come into a comfortable position. Allow yourself to lie down, be in the couch, seated, however is comfortable for you. Use any piece of gear or props you need. Maybe cover up with a blanket if it's too cold. Keep those feet warm maybe. And once you arrive there, wherever that is, take a few deep breaths. Let go of your day or whatever it is you were doing beforehand. So let's breathe in, let the belly, the chest get big. And then slowly, slowly exhale. Beautiful. Just set a few moments just to be. So we're going to bring to mind an intention, or what I like to call a theme, to your practice today. So whatever it is you'd like to take away from this practice, even though it's a very short one, we're going to state it plainly and clearly in present moment language. So it's maybe something like, I am calm or I am peace, but for me it was always, I am pain-free. So say it as if it were true, okay? Something that you wish to gain from this guided rest practice today. And once you have set that theme, that intention, you'll repeat it mentally to yourself 3 times. And I'm going to pause here for a moment to let that happen. So here I am pausing. Good. Next is our body scan, or our rotation of consciousness. If you do a yoga nidra practice at nighttime, which is part 2 for reducing daily chronic pain, you'll recognize some of this. So just allow yourself to take a nice deep breath, and we'll start to bring awareness into our physical body. So let your awareness travel to the top of your head, noticing the top of your head, allowing places in your body as we go through to relax, release, let go with each exhale. From the top of your head, scan all the way down to the tips of your toes. Notice your neck, your shoulders, your torso, your arms, your hands, your fingers. Let's notice those hips, legs, feet, and toes. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Relax, release your whole body. Let's transition to noticing our breath. Allow each breath to get a little bit longer on the inhale. So breathe in, and a little bit longer on the exhale, exhaling. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the places of your body that are moving as you inhale and as you exhale. Letting that feeling of relaxation, releasing, come over you. Big breath in, big breath out. Now let's shift some of our attention to sensations in our body. Let's allow ourselves to feel very heavy, like you could sink into the floor. So heavy like a rock. Your arms are heavy, your legs are heavy. Wherever the places of your body are touching a surface that supports, you're very heavy, weighted into that surface. Now, sense your body being as light as a feather. The arms are light, the legs are light, the head is light. The whole body so light is as if you're floating up towards the sky. Weightlessness, effortlessness, light. And once again, I invite you to notice all those places in your body that are touching the surface beneath you. Noticing the physical sensations of those places of the body that touch what supports. The floor beneath you, the chair underneath you. Notice the fluids in your body. Notice that they flow calm and easy like a lazy river. That fire that burns inside you is like a little pilot light. Maybe noticing the breath flowing freely and softly. Good. Then I invite you once again to bring your attention to that theme, that intention that you set at the beginning of this breathing practice. Let's repeat that 3 times mentally to ourselves, and I'll pause here for a moment. Good. And then allow yourself a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And let's bring some sensation back into the body. So wiggle those fingers, wiggle those toes, maybe move the wrist, pump those heels up and down. If you're lying on your back, bring the knees into your chest and maybe roll a little bit side to side. If you're here seated in the chair, bring your feet a little wide, hands on the legs, and make those big upper body shoulder circles. Little bit of movement here. My chair's squeaking. So if you're doing the knee circles, the shoulder circles, let's take it around and go the other way. Breathing in, breathing out. Beautiful. Come back to the center wherever you are. Now, if you're here lying on your floor, I invite you to roll over onto your side slowly with ease, and then come up to a seated place. Take your time. Now, sometimes we can feel dizzy when we come up off the floor, so bring the chin towards your chest. That kind of helps you kind of gain that equilibrium. Very good. And then bring your eyes to gaze forward. We're going to do a swimming dragon and maybe another one. So hands together, sit up tall, hands together. We're going to breathe in, belly big. Push the hands one direction, turn the head the other direction. Notice your range of motion in your neck and shoulders here. Stay here, breathe in. Exhale back to the center. Very good. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, push it away. Other side. Excellent. Inhale, stay here. Exhale back to the center. Very good. From here, let's take the hands and tap the sides of the hands. That's for lessening headaches, kind of calming any vertigo that you might be having. So this reflects a certain meridian in traditional Chinese medicine, in acupuncture, acupressure. Very good. And let's do the interwebs of the thumbs, which helps with digestive disorders, with nausea. You tend to have, if you're doing chemotherapy, this is a bonus, but what you might also do is tap the toes or the heels up and down. Have some type of foot movement going on as you're doing this, if you're doing this for lessening nausea from chemotherapy, okay? So it's redirection of the senses is what it is. And then go the other way, flip it, all right? Get those interwebs of the hands. Very good. Next is for lessening pain or numbness in the limbs. You're doing the interwebs of the fingers. So bring it into those little valleys of the fingers, okay? So you have a normal way of interlacing your fingers. So this is your normal way you do this, yeah? Then we do a little brain challenge by pausing, wiggle that top finger, and then shift the other finger to be on top. So it's like your brain's going, what? Well, okay, my brain's doing that. Maybe your brain is not doing that. That's okay. Okay, and this again for lessening pain, numbness in the limbs. Let's do tapping at the pulse points. That's for heart and cardiovascular issues. Again, this is an acupressure point for that area. And there's several places along the meridian, which goes throughout, from the tips of the toes to the top of the head, various places that relate to bladder, relate to lungs, relate to the pericardium, flip it, other side, all sorts of things. There's 12 meridians, and there's 8 other meridians, and then there's like 4 more special meridians. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. And we're going to cup the hand and tap on the top of the hand. That's for osteoarthritis, for back pain. Now you shift a little bit if you have a ring, or you can place it on your leg and tap it. I tend to tap harder when I place it on my leg, so I always do it in the air. Kind of your choice though, okay? Makes a nice little sound. Let's do the other one. Now I've got a ring on this side, so I'm going to curve it a little bit more. It makes a louder noise. Very good. Back of the wrist. That's for neck and shoulder pain. So here we go. Again, you're not doing hard. It's just a light little tap. Excellent. Let's do the other side. We're almost done, folks. And then we're going to make a little fist and punch into the palm. You'll notice the strength on this side versus the other. Lessening stress, anxiety, improves clarity and consciousness. Let's do the other one. Again, you may notice, ooh, my left hand is not as strong as my right, or vice versa, or maybe they feel equally strong. Very good. Let's place our hands to heart center. You can stack them, or you can do hands together. And invite you just to drop your chin a little bit towards your chest, just for showing up today. It's in gratitude for coming today. And let's think again about one thing that we're grateful for, or an idea of gratitude. I'm so happy you all showed up today. Thank you for doing this self-help for yourself, movement, breathing, helping us kind of eke the rust out of our bodies, yeah? Again, bring whatever you're grateful for today into your heart space. You may keep your chin towards your chest, or you can gaze forward, eyes opened or closed, as I say the traditional sayings for ending a yoga class with Gail. So let's take the peace, the strength, and the understanding, and that little attitude of gratitude, and let's pass it on. Namaste, which means the bright light in me honors and respects the bright light in you. This concludes our practice of gentle yoga for back care. Let me stop the recording.